These are NRF24L01 modules. They let you take your microcontroller and communicate with another microcontroller over kind of long distances if you really wanted to. In fact, these ones with the antenna built in, although they are power hungry, they get a lot of range, like scary a lot of range. Some people claim over a kilometer. I've been trying to program these things for a very long time, but my issue is I never wanted to use an Arduino Uno. I've always wanted to use something very small, and that's where everything kind of falls apart. So before these things are completely obsolete, I mean, they're already being replaced and recommended to be replaced by these NRF modules here, I figured I would go on a journey to make these things happen, and of course, I used today's sponsor, PCBWay, to achieve that. So I've built some very simple remote control transmitter and receiver boards. They use exactly the same board for the transmitter and the receiver, and with a little help from some AI, I was able to write some code that actually functions, but I'll speak to that a little bit later in the video because there were some challenges. Let's get these soldered up. This design uses the AMS 1117 3.3 volt regulator to power up the NRF circuitry, and I'm just going to solder this in the cleanest way I know how. Generally, you would use a hot plate and solder paste to solder down surface mount components, but that is not a very clean way. You know, you do have to deal with the paste, and you do have to squeegee it on, and you get a stencil made. It usually costs a little bit extra. I mean, for me, I'm sponsored by the PCB company. PCBWay does sponsor this channel, so it's not that big of a deal for me, but for you guys, adding another $5, you know, that doubles the price of your PCB. So this is my lazy way of doing it, and my clean way of doing it is that I just tin the pads. So I'm going to use the surface mount version of the NRF. This board supports both on one board and the through hole on the other board. So all I do is I tin these pads, and then I put a generous amount of flux on it, and then I'll pop it onto the hot plate with the components stuffed into the flux, and then it'll reflow on the hot plate. Then it just gets a generous dab of flux. Whatever flux you use probably will work. I use this cheap stuff from AliExpress. At some point, I should probably level up my game and get some fancier stuff, but I feel like for a lot of stuff it doesn't really matter. And then I'll just spread it out a little bit with a paintbrush. These are just regular cheap paintbrushes I got on AliExpress. There we go. And then we're going to drop the parts onto here. All of my capacitors are 47 microfarads. It's probably not critical which values you're using. I just happen to use the biggest capacitance 0805s that I had in stock. Capacitor placement is not crucial here. The surface tension of the soldering of the solder melting will pull them mostly into place, and then anything that isn't exactly in place you can then just nudge when it's on the hot plate, so it's not too big of a deal. Also, this will take a little bit longer to place while I'm filming because you guys are actually sitting, and by you guys I mean like you guys as in the camera, are sitting where I really should be in order to place these efficiently. So I'm doing this from probably about 18 inches away, and at my age and my eyesight I should probably be more like 8 inches away. So that's why this is taking longer. I'm also a couple of coffees in to my day, so that means my hands are a bit shaky, but we will get it to work. Now, the problem child here is that to get the antenna sticking out of the board, I have to put the NRF sort of like on the edge like that. And that means that it may not stick to the flux as well as I'd want it to. But I will try anyways. There's enough surface area. It should get nice and sticky. There we go. All right, now we're going to heat up the plate and we're going to try to drop these on without sending any parts flying to the carpet. Got the hot plate set up. Let's see if we can do this without having a catastrophic failure. That was not great. Okay, let's see if I can fix the NRF before it's too late. Like so. There we go. It should be heating up. Okay, everything's starting to solder. Just going to nudge the components very gently into their homes. There we go. That one's nudged. That one's nudged. Everything's in place except for the NRF. So let's just nudge this over. Press this down. Might have to use another board as a shim here. Press this down like that. Does that look lined up? To my eye, yes. Gotta deal with these caps. These caps being shorted, not a big deal. They are in parallel. There we go. And here's the result of the hot plate soldering. Now, keep in mind, guys, you guys can see this much better than I can because you guys are fully zoomed in on a nice macro lens. But that is what it looks like. So from my angle, it looks pretty good. And here are the capacitors. So yeah, they got a little crooked, but that's okay. It'll still work. They're still on the pads, and you still see the fillet of flux left on there. So I had plenty of flux, so that's good. I have no doubt that these will work. And here is our other board. So this one here will have the through-hole implementation. And again, crooked capacitors, but that's fine. Now the two holes that you see next to the capacitors, so right here, these holes are for a electrolytic capacitor, which we'll add in the next steps, because the NRF is so power hungry that you do need to put a lot of capacitance really close to it. That's why I've got a whole bunch of capacitors here. And let's move on to the through-hole components. Now for the through-hole parts, this is the receiver. I like my receivers to be compact, that's why I use the surface mount one here. I do want to install this electrolytic cap. This is a 10 volt 470 microfarad. Again, this is not super sensitive, but just grab whatever value works best for you, whatever you've got in your toolbox. You probably want the biggest cap you can fit on your board comfortably. In this case, this is what I have. And usually you would pop them into these pins, ground towards, I believe it's ground towards this side. But because these holes for the through hole are slightly closer, I'm just going to pop it into these two pads, and that's where we're going to solder that in. As close as you can to the power pads is best. And the reason why it's okay to use a giant capacitor here, a lot of people will tell you the big capacitors are too big, they're too slow to charge discharge. I do have a ceramic cap down here, and these two ceramic caps here, they'll all be contributing to the same goal, so we should be good to go. Point is, I've already built this up and tested it, so trust me when I say this will work. Will it work fantabulously? I don't know. That's another question. So I'll just splay the legs a little bit, like that, and then solder this in. Again, you guys can see this better than I can, because you are in the optimal soldering spot. I am just soldering from about 20 inches away right now. So did I get good coverage on that ground? You tell me, because I can't see. So these are gone. Next step, we have all our capacitance done. Our next step is to just put in our microcontroller. I am using the fabulous RP2040-Zero. This is a WaveShare clone board, and that just goes right down on here. And of course, as usual, I put all of the pads broken out onto the sides, so this board is very hackable. Now, one thing that is a little weird is that these holes are pretty tight. I've designed them to be pretty tight so that you can just slot the board in and work with it without soldering it. But that means that if you want to get this in properly, don't solder it onto the board yet. Just put the pins, put your board, and then solder one, then solder the other. This is pre-soldered because this is a board that I used for my prototyping when I was developing this. So that's why it already has solder on it. Last thing to add to the receiver PCB is these pin headers. These pin headers are actually the bane of my existence. I really should have thought of a better way to install these. Honestly, if your project would have servo outputs that stay still, they don't move, then I would probably just solder directly to the board or make a little connector that solders to the board or something, because getting small pin headers to stay attached onto a PCB is a pain in the butt. We're going to try with some blue tack in this case. And here we go. I'm going to try to solder one side. There's one. Now you got to go underneath, press up on the board or on the pin header, and then reflow that one. And make sure you don't touch that pin, because you will burn yourself. So that's what it looks like here. I'm going to peel this off while it's still warm. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish the job. There we go. There is no way I'm making you watch the rest of that. So I've saved you the boredom of soldering the transmitter. It's exactly the same, but I brought you back for the things that are different. So the capacitor is actually set in its actual spot, which is good because then we can use these holes to solder on this through-hole module. I use the through-hole module in the transmitter because typically transmitters are handheld. The size doesn't really matter. I also saved you the boredom of installing these pins. So let's install the NRF24L01 module itself. And this is a little bit of a faff. However, the pins are very long, so you can generally just let it hang by the pins and then solder in one of the pins to anchor it, straighten it out, and then solder the rest. So here we go. Get that straight-ish. That should be nicely tacked in place, and then move on to the others. And then we can trim those down. The last part, a little bit of a faff as well, is getting this pin header here soldered in. And it's kind of like wrong-sided for me, but I'll try to do it anyways. So it's one of these. So I chose a female header. You can use whatever you like, angled, straight, or you can solder right to the holes. I just like this to be modular, so I can steal the cable for another project. So I'll use a little bit of blue tack here. This is an old trick I learned from watching Julian Eilert all those years ago. He's still making videos, by the way. Should check out his channel. And we're going to solder one. Make sure that's straight. And solder the rest. And we should be ready to put in the code. So I got it all set up here and ready to go. I've got a couple of analog inputs going to the transmitter. I also hooked up a screen. This is a CH1116. Yeah, CH1116 OLED. I made a little jumper for it. It fits into that female header we installed earlier. And on the receiving end, I've just got 3 little servos here that'll demo the fact that these are going over to this. A little bit of notes on the code. It is BitBanging SPI, and I think that was the issue with me trying to use these Raspberry Pi RP2040 chips to run this NRF24L01. I believe hardware SPI is much too fast to make it work. This is the only way I managed to make it work. Also, the OLED is doing hardware I2C, but it is doing it very slow. It's at the 100 kilohertz rate, and it's only updating every fifth of a second or so because we want the Raspberry Pi to be doing its work with grabbing all the values. So this is going to be the first time I plug it in. You can ask my live viewers over on the live stream channel, and they will tell you that this is true. This is the first time I plug it in. So now the servos are active. There we go. They have a sort of a neutral position, and then when you plug in the transmitter, big moment. Okay, so here is what we're reading on the 3 analog inputs, and if I move this, so I'll try to move this in the y-axis. So we've got a servo moving there, and you see it responds pretty well too. And then we're going to try moving on the X. So you see that works, and it should work for blended. Yep. If I go slow, these servos are pretty crap, so they don't have like the greatest response, but as you can see, it does work. And then here I have a slide pot set to this one, and yeah, it does work. It does go smoothly, and it does respond as quickly as a servo can, and we can do simultaneous 3 servo movements. So there we go. This is the completed project. This is the first time in simple electronics history that a NRF24L01 is talking to another microcontroller successfully, and everything is actually working. So mission accomplished. And now in the next upcoming months, I will be working on improving the code and sort of like understanding how it works. If you're interested in these boards, you can get these boards to experiment with at the link below from PCBWay. Buy from PCBWay if you can to support creators like myself. The code will be available on GitHub. All the affiliate links in the description are also very helpful. You don't have to use them, but I do recommend you do. Any comments, questions, anything you want to know about this project, leave them in the comments down below. I'm feeling really proud today, and I hope you're happy for me too. Thanks for watching. Block them from flying across a room like this. And they should mostly be caught by the magnetism, and if not, they'll fall, as long as they don't go into my coffee. Everybody knows my coffee is where my 3D prints go.